Listen closely. A shift rises in your life, and the moment clarity begins to form, something pushes back. A pressure, a silence with sharp edges, a pull that tries to turn you away from your own awakening. Many sense this tension, yet few grasp its origin. In Shaolin training, elders speak of the first war, a veil inside the mind, a dense fog that forms right before deeper insight appears. Students feel confusion, sudden doubt, or unusual heaviness. It isn't random. It signals that inner light grows stronger and forces seen and unseen react to that growth. During my early years in training, I stepped into this barrier many times. A subtle force pressed against my progress, not through loud chaos, but through quiet distraction. The body felt restless, the mind tried to wander, and the spirit trembled on the edge of revelation. This barrier tested strength far more than any physical exercise. Few speak about this stage, yet it shapes every path toward mastery. In this message, you will uncover the reason resistance rises right before breakthrough. You will learn how ancient discipline strengthens focus, how breath turns into guidance, and how mindfulness cuts through deception hidden inside emotions and thoughts. You will also hear teachings rarely discussed outside temple walls, truths that reveal why certain people, environments, and energies shift when your awareness expands. Remain with me until the final words. By the end, a clear map will form inside you, showing how to cross this first wall with calm steps and steady spirit. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire. Subscribe, join our circle, and walk this path of clarity with us. A quiet sign rises inside you long before the world notices any change. It may appear as a strange pull in the chest, a sudden clarity in the middle of conflict, or a whisper of truth that refuses to fade. Many brush these moments aside, but they are not coincidences. They are signals, precise, deliberate, and sent with purpose. In our Shaolin tradition, elders teach that the body moves, the mind thinks, but the spirit calls. This calling arrives as what we refer to as the inner bell. It rings without sound. It guides without force. It appears when life drifts too far from alignment, reminding you that your path has meaning far beyond daily concerns. During my years of discipline, the inner bell spoke most clearly during hardship. I recall a winter morning during intensive training. My hands were scraped, breath uneven, and focus nearly broken. My teacher stood beside me and said, "Your strength will not return through effort alone. Listen deeper." In that still moment, something within shifted, not encouragement, not motivation. A recognition, as if the soul stepped forward and said, "You already know the way back." This is how the divine often communicates, not through dramatic signs, but through subtle inner movements, a feeling that urges you to pause, a sense that something is off, a light push toward a choice you've avoided. These nudges are not random events, they are invitations. When ignored, life becomes noisy. When followed, the path sharpens. Many people think intuition is guesswork. It is not. Intuition is clarity arriving before logic catches up. It is the soul correcting its direction. God's messages do not always arrive through words. They unfold through alignment, through the way your spirit reacts to truth and recoils from falsehood. And when the inner bell rings, it is never by accident. Some truths move silently, yet their impact is powerful enough to unsettle the people around you. When your awareness begins to rise, not everyone welcomes it. There are individuals, sometimes close, sometimes distant, who feel safer when you remain uncertain, distracted, or small. They may not admit this even to themselves, but their reactions reveal it. In ancient teachings, there is a saying, "A person frightened by their own shadow cannot bear the sight of another walking in the light." When someone avoids their inner wounds, your growth becomes a mirror. Your clarity exposes the chaos they have ignored. Your discipline highlights the excuses they rely on. Your awakening reveals how deeply they have stayed asleep. I once trained with a student who struggled with focus. Each time another student progressed, his discomfort grew, not because he lacked ability, but because their progress reminded him of the work he avoided. Instead of stepping into discipline, he tried to pull others back into his pace. This is how many people behave in daily life, quietly resisting the rise of those who choose truth over comfort. Some will distract you with noise because they fear silence. Some will fill your path with doubt because your confidence reminds them of their own hesitation. Others will question your intuition because following theirs would require courage. They are not ready to claim. But none of this is personal. It is a reflection of inner struggle. When people fear their shadows, they resist any light strong enough to reveal them. This is why certain messages reach you late, why clarity feels delayed, why spiritual nudges arrive at moments when others wish to hold your attention elsewhere. Awakening threatens the structures that rely on your confusion, and the moment you begin to see clearly, the balance shifts not in their favor, but in yours. In the temple, one of the first disciplines taught is not physical strength, but the art of guarding energy. A monk learns early that attention is life force. Wherever attention goes, vitality follows. If it scatters, the spirit weakens. If it is protected, the path becomes clear. During early training, a teacher once traced a circle in the dirt and said, "This is your inner ground. Only what strengthens you may step inside." At first, the meaning seemed simple, but over time it revealed a deeper truth. The circle was not about others, it was about discipline. The discipline to choose where your thoughts rest, which emotions you allow to stay, and which influences deserve entry. Many people live without this circle. They open their energy to every distraction, every argument, every demand, and every noise that calls their name. In doing so, they surrender the very force needed for growth. Ancient texts remind us that the world is filled with hungry energies, some innocent, some careless, some draining without intention. When you do not guard your attention, these forces feed on your focus until little remains for your own progress. Think of those moments when a single negative conversation leaves you exhausted, or when a small conflict steals hours of mental space. This is the cost of unprotected energy. Not because others are powerful, but because your attention was left unguarded. Guarding energy does not mean shutting people out. It means choosing with clarity. It means responding instead of reacting. It means recognizing which situations nourish your spirit and which quietly diminish it. When a monk protects their energy, they walk with calm strength. Their mind remains steady, their breath anchored, their actions precise. Life still moves around them, but nothing enters the circle without purpose. This is the discipline that transforms distraction into focus and focus into mastery. There is a moment in every seeker's journey when awareness sharpens in a way that feels almost unfamiliar. Conversations that once seemed harmless begin to reveal hidden tones. Intentions that were once blurred suddenly stand out with clarity. This shift is not suspicion. It is discernment, one of the most profound spiritual protections a person can develop. In ancient teachings, discernment is described as a lamp carried through a dark valley. The valley is not dangerous because of what you can see, but because of what tries to stay unseen. When the lamp grows brighter, shadows lose their power. This is how divine guidance often arrives, not through thunderous signs, but through a gentle increase in inner clarity. I once met an elder who said, "When your spirit matures, you stop hearing words and begin hearing truth." At the time, the meaning felt mysterious. Later, I saw its wisdom. You begin sensing when someone's smile hides a different intention. You feel when a promise is empty. You notice when a situation that looks peaceful carries silent tension. This sensitivity is not a burden, it is protection. Many underestimate the strength of discernment. They chase louder messages, dramatic visions, or bold confirmations. But the quiet voice inside, the one that urges caution, that pulls you away from certain people, that signals discomfort without clear reason, that voice is often the clearest form of divine warning. When your spirit grows, emotional traps become easier to see. Manipulation no longer confuses you. Lies lose their ability to disguise themselves. You no longer walk blindly into chaos because your inner lamp reveals the ground before each step. Discernment is the shield that guards your journey. It keeps your path free from the intentions that seek to distort it. And when the shield strengthens, it is a sign that God is guiding you with greater precision than ever before. In the tradition of mindfulness, there is a teaching often repeated but rarely understood. Do not react, observe. It sounds simple, yet it is one of the highest forms of self-mastery. In Shaolin and Buddhist practice, this principle is known as the art of the still mind in a moving world. Life continues to shift, people continue to speak, situations continue to unfold, yet the mind remains steady, like a clear lake undisturbed by passing winds. During early training, students are tested not through strength, but through provocation. A master may speak sharply or create sudden distractions. Just to observe one thing, does the student lose themselves in the moment, or do they notice the moment without becoming it? The difference is profound. A reactive mind is like a door left open to every influence. Noise enters freely. An observing mind is a fortress, open enough to understand, steady enough not to be shaken. Consider those times when someone's comment instantly triggered anger, or a situation pushed you into fear before you even had time to breathe. In those moments, control slips away, and your inner world becomes tied to external forces. But when you pause, when you breathe, when you observe without rushing into emotion, something powerful happens. The grip of the world loosens. You reclaim authority over your response. Ancient texts say, "The one who reacts is a servant. The one who observes is free." When you stop reacting instantly, people lose the ability to manipulate your emotions. Circumstances lose the power to dictate your state. Even your own thoughts lose their command over you, because you no longer follow each feeling blindly. Observing is not passivity. It is precision. It is the discipline that allows clarity to rise before action. And through this stillness, you discover a strength far greater than force, the ability to choose your path instead of being pushed by the moment. Pain has a way of arriving uninvited, pressing against the heart with a weight that feels impossible to carry. Yet in ancient philosophies, pain is not seen as a punishment. It is a sign, a marker that something within you is shifting, stretching, preparing to rise. Masters often teach that the greatest pressure appears in the final moments before a breakthrough. Just as the seed cracks before it becomes a tree, the spirit often trembles before it awakens. There is a saying whispered among monks: when the mind is loud, the spirit is waking. The noise you feel, the doubts, the fears, the restlessness, is not failure. It is the friction of transformation. When an old identity begins to dissolve, the mind resists. It becomes noisy, filled with thoughts that try to hold you to the familiar. But underneath that noise, the spirit grows stronger, waiting for you to recognize its emergence. Once, during a particularly intense cycle of training, a student approached an elder and said, "My mind won't calm. Everything feels heavy." The elder smiled gently and replied, "Good. Something inside you is preparing to be born." Those words reveal a truth many overlook. Discomfort is often the doorway into a higher state of being. Pain teaches you to see what no longer fits. It forces the old layers of self to peel away so the new ones can form. This is why pressure intensifies before clarity arrives. Why emotional storms rise before peace settles. Why inner conflict grows louder right before a deeper truth surfaces. Transformation rarely feels gentle. It stretches the limits of your patience. It asks you to walk through moments you cannot fully understand. But each step through discomfort is a step toward a version of yourself you could not reach by staying comfortable. The pain you feel is not ending you, it is reshaping you. There are seasons in life when the world grows quiet around you. People distance themselves, conversations fade, and the familiar sense of belonging feels out of reach. Many interpret this as rejection or punishment. But ancient wisdom teaches something far different. Isolation is often a sign of alignment. When the path ahead requires strength, clarity, or transformation, you are pulled away from noise so your spirit can recalibrate. In spiritual traditions, separation is not abandonment, it is preparation. When God intends to reshape a person, He removes the distractions that blur their vision. What feels like emptiness is actually space being cleared for new insight. What feels like loneliness is the soul being repositioned toward a higher direction. Shaolin monks understand this deeply. Before a student steps into advanced training, they enter periods of solitude, not as exile, but as refinement. Alone with their breath, their thoughts, and the silence between those thoughts, they begin to hear the truth that cannot be heard in crowded rooms. Without constant influence, the mind stops mirroring others and starts revealing its own nature. There's a moment during this solitude when discomfort appears. You may question why people drifted away or why life suddenly feels quiet. But as the silence deepens, something else emerges: clarity. You begin to notice your emotions more clearly, your intuition becomes sharper, and your priorities realign without external pressure. This is the hidden purpose of separation. Often the relationships or environments that once surrounded you cannot support the next stage of your awakening. Rather than tearing them apart abruptly, life gently creates distance. This distance protects your growth. It shields your unfolding spiritual strength from energies not prepared to understand it. Isolation is not a closed door, it is an open path, a recalibration of spirit, a sacred pause designed to strengthen you before you step into the world again with greater purpose and deeper clarity. There is a moment in every seeker's journey when the purpose of struggle becomes clear. The long hours of discipline, the repeated trials, the moments of doubt, they are not solely for your own benefit. Inner mastery is not earned for pride or recognition. It is cultivated to serve, to guide, to protect, to heal. In ancient Shaolin teachings, a student who attains true focus and clarity is expected to return to the world carrying more than skill, they carry responsibility. Strength without purpose is like a river that flows in circles. Mastery without service is like a flame hidden in a dark cave. Both illuminate only themselves, rather than lighting the path for others. I recall a time when a young monk, after years of solitary training, hesitated to step beyond the temple walls. He feared the distractions, the judgments, the uncertainties of life outside. His teacher told him, "The world will test what you have learned. Your discipline is not complete until it touches others." The words were simple, yet they contained a profound truth. Awakening is preparation, but application is purpose. Your rising awareness functions in the same way. Every moment of mindfulness, every act of patience, every decision to observe before reacting is shaping a capacity to serve beyond yourself. You begin to sense when someone needs guidance before they speak, when a situation demands calm before chaos erupts, when your presence can prevent harm simply by being steady and clear. Divine preparation is quiet. It rarely comes with announcements or grand signs. Yet the weight of responsibility grows as the depth of your clarity expands. Life begins placing you in situations that demand discernment, courage, and compassion simultaneously. The message is clear. Your path of mastery is not just personal. It is a training ground for a higher calling. You are being prepared to carry more than knowledge. You are being prepared to carry light into the lives of others. There are messages that seem just out of reach, whispers of truth that brush against your awareness but never fully arrive. Many wonder why some guidance, some clarity appears delayed or blocked. Ancient teachings explain this with patience and precision. Divine messages only reach the one who is ready to receive them. Timing is never random. It is deliberate, exact, and measured to match the depth of your inner stability. During years of disciplined training, I observed students struggling to grasp subtle lessons. Some would hear a teaching and immediately try to act, yet their minds were scattered, their hearts uncertain. The lesson would slip past, returning only when they had cultivated patience, focus, and calm awareness. The same principle applies to divine guidance. Messages are sent, but they land only when the spirit has reached a level of readiness that can hold them without being shattered or misused. Spiritual texts often describe this as the meeting point of discipline and preparedness. When you are disciplined in thought, action, and presence, a moment arrives where the message aligns perfectly with your capacity to understand. The insight resonates fully, transforming rather than confusing. Before that alignment, the same truth might appear distorted, incomplete, or even ignored, because the mind or heart was not yet anchored enough to carry it. This is why revelations sometimes feel late, or why clarity appears only after repeated trials. It is not denial, it is protection. Life ensures that guidance does not overwhelm, mislead, or distract before you have cultivated the strength to integrate it. When the message finally arrives, it will feel undeniable, precise, and exact. The timing itself becomes part of the teaching, a reflection of the balance between patience, discipline, and readiness. Divine wisdom is never rushed. It waits until you are capable of receiving it fully. There comes a moment when all the teachings, the trials, the guidance, and the quiet warnings point to one truth: the authority you seek has always been within you. Turning inward is not an escape. It is the source of true power. Shaolin philosophy reminds us, master your breath and you master your destiny. Breath is not merely air. It is focus, presence, and the steady rhythm that anchors mind and spirit. To control it is to control reaction, emotion, and ultimately, action. I remember a time during intensive training when a student relied heavily on the advice of peers, questioning every decision. Progress stalled. The teacher instructed him to sit alone with his breath, to feel the rise and fall of each inhalation, and to let thoughts settle like sediment in water. Days later, clarity emerged, not from the voices outside, but from the stillness within. Decisions became natural, precise, and unshaken. This is the essence of inner authority. Guidance arises from alignment, not opinion. Many people unknowingly hand over their power. They seek approval from those who fear their growth, or they follow advice that softens the edge of transformation. The subtle lesson here is profound. External validation is fleeting, but inner alignment endures. When you consistently return to yourself, the noise of manipulation, doubt, or distraction loses its grip. God's message, in this context, is simple: stop outsourcing your judgment. Stop allowing hesitation, fear, or the unevolved perspectives of others to dictate your path. The clarity you seek exists in the space between thought and breath, in the quiet authority that refuses to be swayed. The final instruction is an invitation. Step back from the world's influence. Feel the rhythm of your own breath. Trust the wisdom that rises from discipline, patience, and presence. In mastering this inner authority, you reclaim the direction of your life and align fully with the path you were always meant to walk. As we reach the close of this message, remember that what you have felt, the pressure, the resistance, the quiet nudges, was never random. It is a divine invitation to awaken, to rise above distractions, and to reclaim the clarity and strength that have always been within you. Through the teachings of Shaolin discipline, mindfulness, and inner mastery, you can protect your energy, observe without reacting, trust your discernment, and step confidently into the higher responsibilities awaiting you. Each moment of stillness, each conscious breath, and each act of awareness brings you closer to the version of yourself that moves with purpose and light. Let this be a gentle reminder: your awakening is real. The challenges and opposition around you are not barriers. They are signs that your spirit is expanding. God is guiding you quietly and patiently toward a stronger, clearer, and more powerful self. Take these lessons into your daily life. Pause before reacting, listen to your inner bell, guard your energy, and honor the guidance that comes through patience and clarity. With each mindful step, you align more fully with your path and your purpose. Thank you for joining us on this journey. May peace, strength, and clarity guide you always. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire. Subscribe now and walk this path of inner mastery and awakening with us.